Welcome to another episode of Mind Power Meets Mystic. I am Michelle Walters, the hypnotherapist, the mind power part of this wonderful podcast. I am joined this week, as per usual, by my lovely lady co-host, Cinthia Varkevisser. She is our show mystic and is the wise woman of the wilds of the cosmic existence. We are excited to be continuing on our journey of talking about different professions and how they relate to the chakras. And we are so excited because we get to talk to a friend of ours today named Stacia Crawford. Stacia Crawford is a two-time Emmy Award-winning producer and the powerhouse behind Stay Ready Media, a premier PR and media strategy firm that turns thought leaders, CEOs, and industry experts into household names. With more than 3 decades of experience as a top TV news producer, Stacia brings unmatched insider knowledge to the world of public relations. She has helped clients land high visibility features on Good Morning America, CBS Evening News, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, The New York Times, The Washington Post, Oprah Magazine, and countless others. As the ultimate media matchmaker, Stacia knows exactly what journalists want and how to make her clients stand out. Thank you for being here, Stacia.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Dang, I'm so
You're the
excited.
one with all the media experience, not us,
I
man.
know you were reading that. I'm like, who is she talking about? She sounds like a badass. Oh, wait, that's me.
You are a badass. You are a badass. So we have you here, very obvious, for the ship fifth chakra, which is all about expression
Mhm.
and voice and speaking. And you are that person. You embody the fifth chakra. And I love talking to you about it because everything you do comes from that space or is very mindful of that space. So tell us about your work and how you got here. And you were very popular with everyone on our cruise because they said media and everybody's eyes got sparkly because,
Yeah,
right, we all want to be on camera,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, I got into this, believe it or not, when I lost my job. So I was laid off from my job. I was working as a TV news producer in Chicago. I had been there for 20 years. They actually recruited me from Baltimore, where I had produced the first weekend morning show. You may recall, we're women of a certain age when Saturday mornings were all dedicated to the kids. It was all cartoons.
Mhm.
And we got this brilliant idea to do a weekend morning news. And it went so well. I did that in Baltimore. Chicago was like, hey, can you come do it here? And I worked at the station for 20 years and producing any number of shows there. And we got a new general manager and, politics and behind the scenes. Anyway, he got the bright idea to cancel my show. So at that time, I was producing the midday show, highest rated newscast in the city, third largest market. But he had bought some other show and needed some place to put it. So he decided to bump the news. And that meant that I had the option of, working somewhere else in the newsroom, or I decided to bet on myself. And so I left that newsroom, started my company, Stay Ready Media, and looked at what, I was like, there's got to be some way for me to be able to capitalize on the skills that I have brought to television. At that time, I'd been at like 25, 30 years. And I was like, you know what? I do a lot of stuff preparing people to be on my show because most people think they know what it's like when you're going to be on TV. And I'm like, you don't. And when you come on TV and you think you're going to wing it, 9 times out of 10, you're going to leave there so dissatisfied with, how you look and how you sound because it's not what you think it is. And so that's really kind of been the foundation of my business, really, not just getting people to those media opportunities, but preparing them for them so that they look the part, they sound the part, and they make sure that they have a core message that they want to deliver. And everybody's happy. That producer wins, the audience wins, and the client wins. So that's how I started.
It's pretty fascinating because we're talking about TV, which everybody wants to be, every 5-year-old wants to be, on TV or in the movies. But what we don't think about is exactly what you're saying is what's your core message, which means it's about digging really deep into who you are and, and what is it, how does it apply? So you're actually a life coach and in a certain kind of way,
Yeah,
or
in
so
some
how
ways, yeah.
how do you get people down to that core message, or at least I like to be all over the place. Ask Michelle, right? I love to be all over the place, and Michelle's like, focus, focus. I'm really not a very good Virgo, but so how is it that you get people to dig down and go, is that really your core value, or are you really relaying the message that you want to relay?
Yeah, a lot of it, basically means starting with the end in mind. Like you said, everybody wants to be on TV, but the question you have to ask is why. Is it, some people like, I just want to be able to say I was on TV. Like I know a woman who literally had an opportunity to meet Oprah. She, had literally had tea with Oprah, and that's her claim to fame. I had tea with Oprah. And me as a media strategist, I'm like, I'm like, well, would you get from that? Like, what did that do for you? Did your business blow up? You should be a household name. And she's like, no, I just had tea with Oprah. Like that was her goal to be able to say that. And I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me?
Right.
Like, you know what Oprah does for people? And most people do that with media. They go into media not really knowing or having a clear understanding of what they want to get out of it on the back end. So that's really key. You have to start there. What do you want? Are you trying to make money from it? Do you want clients? Are you trying to get speaking engagements? Are you trying to get brand awareness? Because every media opportunity is not going to be the same. And if you don't know what you're going into it to get out of it, what are we doing?
Right.
So we always start with the end in mind. So, from there, we do kind of narrow down what is your core message because that depends on what you're trying to do, right? Are you trying to get a client? Are you trying to get a date? Your message is going to be different, right? Same channel, but different message. So that's really a key part of the work that I do.
Gotcha.
I love it. I love it. It's like mindset message training on steroids, really,
There's a
right?
huge part of mindset, and most people they don't see that either. Like a lot of times people when I really talk to folks, I mean, there's mindset involved in everything that we do, right? And when it comes to media, it's the same way. So the things that you talk about, how you show up, everything from how you dress to, the words that you use, the language is so important. And many times when people are not media trained and we look at their interviews and they're like, oh my God, did I say that? Like, where did that come, right? You don't even know what you said because you weren't fully prepared. And a lot of that stems from what was your mindset going into it. And oftentimes, they're like, well, this is my business. I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to wing it. And I just sit back
I
and
think a lot of people, and I'm curious if this is similar to your experience, but I think a lot of people don't listen to themselves.
no, they don't.
They
They
don't
don't.
they don't listen to
No,
themselves. They're not they don't like to hear themselves. They don't like to
that's right.
see a video of them talking. They are not reflective about their past experience,
Yep.
and I imagine that that's a big part of what you try and point out to people is
A
like,
huge part. Yeah,
hey, if you're sitting here scratching the side of your face, you're not going to come across
that's
as
right.
trustworthy
And you
as
don't even
if
know
you
it. You don't
could
even
keep your
realize you're doing it.
hands out of the camera zone, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And most people don't. They don't like the sound of their voice. And it's like those are things that you can control. Just, the way you talk, you can actually control it. But we don't think that. We think, well, this is just what my voice sounds like. It's like, no, it's not. It's because that's how you've been speaking, but you can absolutely change it. Right. And that's a big part of the work that we do with our media training, and we are very intentional about looking at the videos. Like, this is what you looked like and what you sounded like, a week ago. And here's how your voice is more commanding. Because again, it all goes back to what is your goal. So, how your voice sounds means are people going to want to work with you? If your voice is not sounding authoritative, you're not sounding clear, you're not sounding confident, then you're not going to get clients out of it, or they're not going to buy your book. They're not going to come to your event. None of that.
Right. People in America want to work with people who are confident, well spoken, and approachable. And
Absolutely.
if that doesn't shine through, I imagine that that perfect match you're talking about between your client and the show and the audience is something less than a win.
Absolutely. Right. And it goes down even those tiny things. It could be a facial expression. It could be a hand gesture, right? It could be, the way you hold your head. All those things matter, even though you don't realize it.
So I'm curious, when people come see you, what's the percentage of people who go, holy shit, I've got to do way more work than I thought?
So most, most, yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Because most of the ones who come to me have not had media training, and definitely not in the way that we do media training, right? So yeah, when we point those things out, they're like, oh, I didn't even realize that I did that. Like they're the obvious things, people who say like I was going to go to the store and like this guy walks up to me and like most people who do that don't notice it, but when you point it out, they'll be a little bit more cognizant of it. But there's so many other things, there are ticks and idiosyncrasies and little things that people do that they don't even realize it and not even recognizing that when you're on camera, those things are amplified.
Absolutely. It's one of the interesting things that I have learned so much about myself from my work recording hypnotherapy. And it's not
Hmm.
so much about the camera. Cinthia will tell you it took me forever to agree to be on camera for our podcast. But I learned after a while that as I was recording hypnotherapy scripts, people don't want ums and ahs and likes and you have to be able to, I don't have to speak quickly. I can speak slowly in those recordings, but I need to speak in a way that is confident, calming,
Hmm.
quiet, has all of those techniques in it so that it sounds good. And it
Exactly.
sounds like something people want to listen to.
Hmm.
And it's practice.
Oh yeah.
It's not
That's the practice.
impossible, but it is practice.
Sure.
And not everybody wants to put in the time to practice
Right.
and develop that skill set.
Yeah. Because a lot of people, when they come, especially when they come to me, they'll think that, they're an expert in their field, which I'm like, absolutely, you are 100%. But I'm an expert in my field. And I'm telling you that we need to do some work here. Or
yeah.
sometimes they'll even come and they'll say, well, I've done TV before, I've done radio or other media before, so I don't need media training. And then I go and we look at those interviews and I'm like, did you notice this? Did you see this? Oh, I didn't even know that. Like, yeah.
There's something so valuable about another set of eyes
Oh, absolutely.
and ears and
Yeah.
all the pieces because we can be so self-judgmental
Hmm.
that that's the fear, I think, why people don't watch their own recordings is
Yeah.
they're terrified of what they look like. And so
Yeah.
the only thing you can kind of do is say, I accept myself no matter what happens.
Exactly. But
And
instead, you can say,
that's
let's
not
fix it.
necessarily the right answer.
It's not.
There's something
Right.
in between there about being able to accept yourself but also improve yourself, right?
Absolutely. And I always say, let's fix it beforehand because after it's too late. Because if you go in and you blow a media interview, you're not getting invited back.
Right.
So let's fix it before, right? Let's fix up all those things with it. If it's your gestures, your voice, your tone, your inflections, all those things. Let's work on that.
I was surprised talking with you, just how much time. I mean, first of all, you have what, 3 minutes in a typical TV interview. How
Mhm.
much time, prep time you need, how much time ahead of time you need to be at the studio, how much time, all these things happen for this. It's a hard way to look at it, but I'm like, it's like the head of a pimple, right? So there's like so much buildup. I know it's not what I really want, but you know what I'm talking about. There's like so much buildup and so much work for just, for that tip
For
of the
3 minutes.
iceberg,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
It's really incredible how much work you have to condense it down to, pretty much a pinpoint.
Yeah. And that's why another reason why the training is so important, because when we do interviews, if you've got 3 minutes, that doesn't mean you have 2 minutes to ramble on. You've got to get your point, right? You've got to be on it. You've got to be laser focused and know exactly what you want to go into that interview saying. And that even means regardless of what they ask you. I always say, don't answer the question that they ask. You answer the question that you wish they had asked. And that is a very, it's a skill. It's
Skill.
definitely a skill. Yeah.
Right. That's like politics. I would,
Mhm. Yeah, well, that's the first thing that crossed my mind when Stacia said that
Yeah.
is like, oh, you're talking about people running for office and how they never answer the question.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I
you can
get
tell
that.
the ones who are media trained and the ones who aren't, because when they aren't, you just sit there and go, well, he never answered the question.
that's right.
But when you do it correctly, nobody ever recognizes you didn't answer the question because you did answer the question. It might not have been that question. But yeah, it's a skill.
Good. That's a great
How
skill.
did you get good at this, Stacia? I mean, I get it that you've been practicing and doing it for decades, but not everybody sort of grows up in such a way or observes the world in such a way as to be really good at this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it just came from my time in television, being the person behind the scenes and the person who was booking those guests. It's like I know what I want a good interview to sound like. And when a guest comes on and it's like, well, gee, that's not what I wanted, or, it didn't really deliver any value to my audience. They came in it and they spewed whatever they wanted to say. And so I had to get really clear and spend a lot of time preparing people to be on my show. And that's why I started my business because I was like, it's not just about getting them there, but it's training them to deliver an impactful and memorable message when they do get there. And that's the
So,
part that a lot
so
of people
tell
miss.
us a success story of
Yeah.
somebody who you helped, who was maybe a sloppy communicator, and you showed them what they needed to know and what happened as a result.
Gosh, okay, so many. Um, and I wouldn't even necessarily, a lot of people, they aren't even necessarily sloppy communicators. It's just which sometimes is a worse problem because if you're a sloppy communicator, you usually know it. Sometimes
Mm,
they're good communicators, they're just not communicating what they need to. Because
got it.
most people, it's just like when we're pitching, most people in a pitch, they're pitching themselves. You have to think of pitching almost like sales in a sense that you're not just trying to sell them something, right? You're not just trying to get on their show, you want to be clear in highlighting what is the value that you bring to their audience. And it's the same thing with an interview. So that means if you have 3 minutes, like a podcast is very different, right? I came in here, you asked me how I got started, and I could tell you that, in a minute and a half. If I've got 3 minutes, I don't have a minute and a half to tell you how I got started. So it's really all about, oftentimes starting in the middle of the story. Storytelling is key, right? Because you also have to connect with the audience on an emotional level. It's not about statistics and dates and facts and figures. It's really about the story because that's where the heart is, that's where the emotion is. Um, and so that's really that, when I'm producing a show and I have an idea of what I want this segment or this interview to look like and sound like, and what I want my audience to get out of it, that's really what we start with when we do the training.
Wow. That's amazing. Let me ask you, for all of us who have a book out or getting ready to have a book out, or we believe we have something that we want to share with the world, and of course, we still want to have our, mug up on the TV. What are some suggestions to get them ready for you so you can take them? Because I remember us talking, and I said, "Oh, I'm so not ready for you. I'm a baby." And you were very kind. But, we agreed.
Oh, I mean, I think it's all about the message. Like ultimately knowing what it is that you want media to do for you, right? Not just being able to say I had tea with Oprah, but being able to say, I had tea with Oprah, and at the end of the day, I can track $60,000 in my bank account that came from that encounter, right? That's, I mean, if you're a business owner, that's what it is. If you don't have money in your bank account, you don't have a business.
Right.
So a lot of people will group PR, marketing, advertising all in the same basket. And that's, even though they are different, but that's really why, because at the end of the day, you want to be able to monetize it. So I think that if you have a book, clearly you wrote that book because you had a message that you wanted to share. But it's all about knowing, like, there may be a particular chapter or a particular point in that book that you get to share with an audience. You can't tell them about the whole book. And, and the easiest way to do that is to tie into, like, what are the conversations that are already happening in the world? What is it that people can actually use? Because, people want takeaways. And what's the information that they'll be able to take away and actually use immediately? So I wouldn't
That's
say
right.
that you are not ready for me, Cinthia.
Well, our Cynthia is working on a book, so maybe she will
Mhm.
have a big message to share when the book is ready for prime time.
Yes, absolutely. And you
Well,
don't have to wait until the book is published to get media for your book.
ah!
Just to put it out there for you,
Yeah,
Cynthia.
exactly.
We'll be talking. We will
Yeah.
be talking. But I really love that. Well, if it's okay to tell a story, I did an empowerment piece that you got to be a part of, and it was just supposed to be a bunch of women getting together, stretching, la la la. And I saw who was in front of me, and just these amazing, impactful human beings. And I thought, I'm not going to waste your time. Let's work on something that's, empowering. And so I did a quick self-defense down to the bones. And you took that into a media piece. That's the part I found really interesting because you said, here's what you meant to do. This is what it's about. You can really take this into media, which
Mhm.
I love your brain for that and the way that you move forward, you know. So thank you for that.
You're
And
welcome.
I also want to know um not what's coming up, but just some build, I think this is the question I asked before, but I'm going to ask it again. Besides the message, are there any things like I'll ask Michelle if Michelle wants to get Michelle's doing podcasts, but when she's ready to get on TV with her 2 books and her app, what advice can you give her so that we can also give it to our audience so they know that they're ready for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say probably three things. The first thing is you really need to have a story or a message that is going to position you as an undeniable, indisputable expert, right? So if you're writing a book, clearly you're doing that because you have some expertise, or if you own a business. So really hone in on what is your expertise and what it is that you want to be known for. Because, I mean, of course, yeah, we're all multifaceted, we're all talented and all this. But when it comes to media, they are looking for experts. So it's not something where it's like, oh, well, I know a little bit about this, so I can talk about that. What are you an expert in, period? So get clear on that. Um, the second thing is really think about the story that you want to tell. And when you think about the story, most people think that the story is them. And in most cases, the story is not you. And, a lot of times I have conversations with people and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the story, right? It just kind of pops out for me. Um, know what that story is and what is it tying in. And a lot of times even think in terms of like current trends, like what's happening in the world. If you are, if you have a business, what are your clients dealing with right now? Because whatever that is, there's a very good chance that the people in that television audience are going to be dealing with that same thing. So make sure that you have some takeaways. And then the third thing that I would say is really getting a clear strategy for media, because sometimes people will say, oh, well, I pitched the media, but they didn't respond. Oh, well, I guess it's not for me. You got to have a framework and a strategy because not every pitch is going to, everyone is going to be picked up. And so you have to have a strategy. Okay, maybe not that one. Just like you do, a lot of people are doing social media, and that's wonderful. Just like you have a content calendar for social media, you can have a content calendar for traditional media as well. Like, what am I going to be pitching in January? What am I going to be pitching in February? And getting clear on those types of things. And it all ultimately goes back to you planning out your year. Like, do you have a book launch? Do you have an event coming up? Is there some big month, right? If you're a health professional, is it National Cancer Awareness Month, or Autism Awareness Month, or there's a month for everything? Trust me, for everything. So, as that expert, you need to know what that is so that now you can go to the media and say, hey, did you know that it was National blah, blah, blah week, or National, XYZ month? And then you can kind of plug your story into there. But that's all a part of that strategy that you really need to develop. So that way you're not stuck saying, oh, well, I was on TV that one time. Because a lot of people think, being on TV and now, money's going to fall from the sky and clients are going to beat down your door. Probably not. So you need to be consistent about it. And the way that you do that is building out a strategy.
Great answer,
Yeah.
Stacia.
Oh,
I
thank
find
you.
this all so interesting because I worked for 20 something years in marketing, but I worked in these big agencies where there were other people who did PR and that
Yeah,
kind of a thing.
yeah.
I didn't know anything about it. And so as I've now evolved and solopreneur and my hypnosis business and that kind of a thing, I am seeing the importance of media
Mhm.
and how it plays a role and what happens if you don't do anything about it, because
Yeah,
there's a lot of people who don't do anything about it, and what it can get you, because
yeah.
it can get a lot,
Oh,
actually.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and the opportunities are everywhere. There's so many. I mean, the way that the business is shifting, right? But the way that it's shifting is leaving a lot of opportunities for people to get featured. Folks often think, well, that's not accessible to me because I'm not famous, or, I don't have any insider connections. You don't need that. You need to have a message, you need to have a plan, and you need to build a way, a time in your schedule to work the plan.
Yeah, it's like anything, you got to
Mhm.
dedicate consistency.
Absolutely. And the truth is,
Absolutely.
when you do it right, you're pitching the media, but then the tables turn and they're coming to you.
Right.
You
That's
become a
that
source for
sounds
them.
like the sexy part everybody wants a
Oh
little
yeah.
slice of.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Stacia, thank you so much for being on Mind Power Meets Mystic and
You're
being one of our
welcome.
representatives of the fifth chakra.
I'm happy to
What
do
would you like to share
it.
with our listeners? How can they connect with you? What you got coming up?
Yeah, well, you can connect with me on social media. My company, Stay Ready Media, so you can find me on LinkedIn at Stay Ready Media, Instagram, Stay Ready Media, and Facebook, Stacia Crawford. I share lots of tips, tricks, strategies, a lot of powerful information there for absolutely free. And I do a masterclass every now and then where I kind of pull back the curtain, give up the goods, and folks come to this masterclass and they email me back and they're like, oh my god, I used your strategy, I just booked myself on Fox, or I'm going to be on NBC, and they're always shocked that it works. I'm like, of course it works, that's why I teach it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And this wraps up our episode of Mind Power Meets Mystic with me, Michelle Walters, and our show, Mystic Cinthia Varkevisser. We have had Stacia Crawford on today's show. If you liked today's show, please rate us and review us. Know somebody who needs to know about Stacia? Forward the episode. We love it when we get feedback from people and when we get those little ding, ding, dings that tell us somebody liked our show. So thank you so much. Bye bye.